Nigeria. It's a beautiful Friday, and you know what that means? Thank God it's Friday. You're watching Daybreak Live Extra, your favorite early morning show, bringing you all the gists, headlines, and hot conversations to kickstart your weekend.
And that's right, Abby. We are live, we are loud, and we are ready to serve you a full plate of stories that matter, from the serious to the trending and everything in between. I am Pat Aito.
And I am Samson Balogo, and together with Abby and Pat, we'll be taking you through the best of daybreak news and newspaper headlines and analysis, your favorite big story. And of course, we'll be keeping an eye on sports and all the buzz with Trend Watch.
This morning, we begin with some breaking headlines making waves across the country. Nigerian singer Darlington has been summoned by NAPTIP over allegations involving abuse of a minor. It's a serious case, and we'll be unpacking all the details and implications in just a moment.
And from health to hygiene, our focus this morning also turns to menstrual hygiene, with May 28th just behind us. Menstrual Hygiene Day, we asked, are we doing enough to ensure our girls and childbearing women maintain proper hygiene? What should the government, schools, and families be doing better? That's coming up.
All right, then get ready for our big story. Today, we are diving deep into Nigeria's democracy, the journey so far. With over 2 decades into the Fourth Republic, we ask, how far have we come? We have, and what have we learned, and what must change to deepen democracy for all Nigerians?
From politics to pop culture, you know we've got you covered. We'll also be taking a quick spin through Trend Watch, where we spotlight what Nigerians are saying online, the memes, the movements, the moments.
So, get your cup of tea, settle in, and don't go anywhere. We are just getting started. It's Daybreak Live Extra on a Friday, and you know how we do it.
Thank God it's Friday.
All right, I'm talking about this issue of Speed Darlington having an issue coming out to say he had, something to do with, a minor. For me, he has actually said time without number that a few times after he made that statement that he only said that to Trend. But of course, the law will not take that lightly.
They won't take it for
And
granted.
don't even forget that even before now, he had an issue with Burna Boy, where the case is still in court. He's still trying to settle that, and boom,
And
he got
there's
himself in another trouble. And for the fact that you said this is not what you meant, actually does not mean the law is yours. They are going to sweep this under the carpet.
I think today is even the day the NAPTIP
They have actually invited
him.
And that's the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons.
Yeah.
And just yesterday we were talking about this too, about the Speed Darlington issue, coming out to say this is how artists they eat. Without such things, they won't eat. I mean, you're making light of a very serious situation.
Issue.
And the other video that came out, when the mother was complaining about
him making advances at,
I think a 16-year-old again, and then this one, something that you should just hide your head. But it's okay. NAPTIP has invited him, and we'll see what the outcome
I think you should see a video released, I think yesterday morning, or
I think he came back to the
debunk. Yeah, he said something about if you were in the north, you will not be having this kind of issue that minors do get married in the north and nobody is talking about it. He even mentioned a politician that got married to a minor, and people were like, no, this is not the north, this is the south, and if you are making such reckless statements, you should face the law.
And that is what we call damage control. Trying to, and you need to see reactions on social media from people. Some people are saying, no, apart from the backlash, some people are now saying politicians, I hope they will do same to politicians who do this. Some people are saying the videos with Boko Haram, Boko Haram making videos, they should get them arrested. Well, in such cases, you have diverse opinions. But hey, I hope the law will take its course on this.
Absolutely.
And away from that, we'll dive into health, and that's talking about menstrual hygiene, which is very important aspect of health and well-being for girls and women of childbearing age.
Maybe we should be talking about what girls can actually do to stay hygienic in, you know, in that area. And then you talk about the role of government in sensitizing the people. You know,
are they doing enough?
It is, yes, it is not enough to leave this to parents. It's actually quite important that the government takes this as a responsibility to make sure that you know, they actually nip these constant issue we do have in this kind of situation.
What will the government do?
You know, sensitization is actually important. Okay. And then when you have you know, health centers that are actually furnished, and then
that is functional.
Functional, yeah. You understand that we will not be having people, if people have access to healthcare, they go to maternities, they go to clinics, and then they get sensitized by nurses or doctors, and you understand that they will have adequate information about whatever it is they are facing or the challenges that might come along the line.
Well, girls or women who do not have access to the sanitary pads and everything, you know, accurate information are prone to reproductive illness, and which a lot of which we have in the society this day. I think government, like you said, sensitization is the key. And those days you get to buy your sanitary pad at an affordable rate, but now
I mean, it's
very
so expensive that a lot of people can't even afford it. And you see where some people, they say they use cloth or something, and that is very, very unhygienic because you're prone to infections with such.
You know, you can also talk about young ladies now, you know, trying different products, all in the name of trying to keep clean, ash, soaps and the likes. These are things that should be sensitizations on the chemicals or the substances you should be looking out for on products you are buying that is not actually, that can actually, you know, affect you. Once you know that, you will know that, okay, this particular product is not meant for me, I'm not going for this.
Like the one we have in cosmetic, I mean cream, body cream. They will tell you if you want to get the body cream, there's a particular one we have hydroquinone there. So maybe sensitization, like you said, should come up on this as well. Like, okay, you want to get the sanitary pad, exactly, fine. It's good to get another one because the other one we're used to is quite expensive. But then look at this, check this. There are a lot of things you're supposed to look for so that you know that, oh, this one is perfectly
it's also
okay for you.
Important to teach young girls how to dispose, you know, sanitary pads properly. It's quite important because you know, many a times you walk through where, you know, bins are, and you begin to wonder why would a girl just drop this in a bin like this. But at least it should be properly kept somewhere.
But what of the, when you talk of the bins, especially the public ones outside, you know, sometimes when you dispose these people, is this scavengers, I should call them now, looking for something, and you know, from there they just open. I remember there was a time that there was this talk of people
looking for sanitary pads. In fact, at the point they were looking for diapers. So it's there were a lot of things that are happening in the society, and sometimes we actually pin the blame on the government, but then the people also should share a part of the responsibility and the blames too. So it means that as long as we sensitize the people on how to properly dispose, we must also sensitize people who actually take charge of this waste. There are things you don't just mess with and then just throw them around.
They're supposed to.
I mean, you know, these are part of the things they should know. If you are doing this job, you should know there are some things that, you know,
and you know, we're not just talking of just young girls, we're also talking about young
women as well.
Yes, women, even whether you're young or old, there are still some people who, despite their age, you know, they just do these things anyhow.
It will surprise you that some girls, young girls, do not even know how to track their menstrual cycle. And then they get embarrassed outside many times when it comes. So at least there are applications now you can actually use to track menstrual cycle, download, and then you know that, okay, between so-so period and so-so period, I have to be prepared that this can happen.
So you can be anywhere and this can happen. All right, thank you so much.
But then before we go, let's just quickly look at this hand washing.
Quite important.
It's quite important.
Very important. Especially when you
want to change from one to another. Maybe one is wet and you want to change for a new one.
Once you are done with that,
you just have to
clean.
Wash your hands.
That's the much we can take on this segment. Thank you for watching. All right, we'll move over now to Daybreak News. Please stay tuned. It's still Daybreak Live, and don't forget, this is Daybreak Live Extra. Thank God it's Friday.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I am Pat Aito. The federal government has inaugurated the Alternate Education and Renewed Hope National Homegrown School Feeding Project to expand the scope of feeding by reaching 20 million out-of-school and informal children in 2026. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Professor Natawe Iwatda, spoke about the plan during the launching of the program in Abuja. Iwatda said that the program was implemented by the Renewed Hope National Homegrown School Feeding Program in collaboration with the National Commission for Almajiris and Out-of-School Children Education and the National Identity Management Commission. A senator representing Ogun West, Shuaibu Salisu, said that an end must come to the growing trend of cybercrime among young men. Salisu, who is the Senate Committee Chairman on ICT and Cybercrime, lamented that the trend weakens the culture of education and learning among youth. It therefore emphasized the need for a complete overhaul of the school curriculum to include skills relevant to the digital age, such as artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and digital literacy. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has thus owned a financial and poverty alleviation scheme making the round on social media. NNPCL spokesperson Olufemi Soneye made this clarification in a statement released on the company's X page. The NNPCL warned that it has no such investment initiative and urged the public to disregard the videos. Mixed reactions have chilled the second-year anniversary of President Bola Tinubu's administration in the country. Some Nigerians who spoke exclusively with Dominion News have said that the Bola Tinubu-led administration needs to come up with more policies that will bring positive development in the nation. Grace Aino has the report.
Bola Tinubu assumed office as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. 2 years down the lane, these Nigerians say the APC-led federal government has performed less than expectation, while others say 2 years is not enough to change Nigerians' situation.
2 years of motion without progress, and it is expected that a man, carried in by the thunder must be able to dance in the rain. It's obvious that the president, with all the fanfare, with all the past records in Lagos, we are yet to see any meaningful impacts, in the life of Nigerians. More than 63% of Nigerians are living in poverty. There's still great infrastructural deficits. Inflation is about 23%. So when you look at the statistical indices, you see that not much has really been done. This is not to say that he hasn't performed in certain aspects.
So for my own score, it's as it used to be, as it were. It's the same thing. I think it's a bit worse than Buhari's era, especially because of the subsidy removal thing. It has affected people adversely, and it's really affecting people. Go to the law court, because that's my own domain. The issue of divorces and issue of child maintenance is like they come in droves.
The last 2 years would have been years of, seeing fights, seeing records, seeing all the policies and things that have been undertaken the last 2 years, and for him to also prepare to put the right policies in place, to get the right advices, to get the right policies put in place to be able to lead the Nigeria with purpose. And you can see that it started off with the removal of subsidy, which created a lot of furor, but which I believe is one of the best things that has ever happened to Nigeria. And you can see also that his commitment to security of life and property in Nigeria, though beset with a lot of challenges and setbacks, but his renewed determination to rout out all the bandits and terrorists in Nigeria is a major score.
They called on President Bola Tinubu to re-strategize and come up with policies that will grow Nigeria.
So the president is, he should get working. He said he asked for the job. He didn't beg for it. So this is the time to actually prove to Nigerians that he really wants to work.
If I were in their shoes, I would come out and say, these are the plans we have. We have not been able to achieve XYZ. However, these are the things we have put in place. I think that's better than the makeover that they are giving us.
Then should stay focused. You should stay focused on governance. It's very important. And then rejig the men at the corridor of power. Some ministers have not worked well enough. Some have tried, but we still have a number of them that we don't even know what they do. You know, they are just there. So I think the people around the corridors of power should be reevaluated.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has expressed gratitude to Nigerians for their resilience and support, acknowledging the sacrifices made and challenges faced. He affirmed his administration's commitment to tackling emerging challenges and building a stronger, more inclusive Nigeria. I know Grace, Dominion News.
Now to Ogun State, where the Ogun State government has pledged to fast-track the regularization of operatives of the Community, Social and Orientation and Safety Corps, also known as SoSafe Corps, into the civil service to strengthen the state security architecture. The Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Local and Chieftaincy Affairs, Dr. Rotimiolu Akinlesi, stated these at the closing ceremony of the 3-week capacity building training for officers of the state-owned security agency. The government also appreciated the contribution of the officers of the security agency, pledging to always support them with relevant, up-to-date training to discharge their responsibilities more efficiently and professionally. The suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, has assured the people of the state that he remains committed to oath of office as sworn. In a statement to mark the anniversary of the East 29th May 2023 swearing-in, Fubara described the occasion as a moment for sober reflection and renewed determination. Fubara declared that the people's bargain has given him the courage to continue pursuing unity and healing amid ongoing political turbulence. The Niger State Emergency Management Agency, NSEMA, has confirmed the death of 21 persons in a deadly flood disaster that ravaged 2 communities. The NSEMA, in a statement issued by Director General Abdullahi Baba Ara, said the surging flood water submerged and washed away over 50 residential houses with their occupants. The affected communities are Timfi Maza and Angua Ausawa in Mokawa local government area. The incident occurred during a heavy downpour that lasted several hours. And in business, the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Zach Adedeji, has urged Nigerian youth to be involved in tax matters to have a clear understanding as it was in their best interest. He spoke at a town hall meeting jointly organized by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Citizenship and Leadership and FIRS. Adedeji, who was represented by Special Advisor on Research and Statistics, Associate Professor Aisha Mahmoud Haman, said taxation is both a fiscal tool and a social contract which should be voluntarily paid by everyone who is taxable. You can visit our website at www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. And that was the Daybreak News. Thank you so much for watching. Good morning.
All right, welcome back. It's still Daybreak Extra from Dominion Television this wonderful Friday morning. And we'll move over to the segment of newspaper headlines and analysis. Myself and Pat will be reading the headlines for you on our different dailies this Friday morning. Okay, I'll start with Nigerian Tribune. Outrage as students sit for WAEC exam at night. Body apologizes with the rider. Minister orders thorough investigation. You can find the story on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. I'm wondering at night, again, we have not even finished with jam matter. All right, Sidi Qatar of Mauritania succeed additional at African Development Bank. You find this story on page 6. 21 die and 10 missing in Niger flood disaster. Is that Niger?
Niger.
Flood disaster, okay. Page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. And of course, congratulatory messages still flooding our dailies this morning. Okay, Pat, take over.
All right, away from that, we'll head straight to Leadership Friday. We have Buhari, others hail additional as Sidi Qatar succeed AFDB president, and that's on page 26 of the Leadership Friday. And we have this one beneath it trending. We have made undeniable progress. Tinubu is talking, and AFDB project that's over $39 billion in decline in foreign funding to Africa. That's on page 2 of the Leadership Friday. And we have John Mahama condemns Trump white genocide claim attack on Ramaphosa. That's on page 30 rather. From the Leadership Friday. And like Ebby said, congratulatory messages still flooring our newspaper headlines this morning.
All right, from the Leadership Friday, we move over to the Guardian newspapers, and the main story there says Ohanaeze and others fault Tinubu's scorecard as APC blames past leaders. You can find the story on page 6 of the Guardian newspapers. Other stories from the Guardian newspapers: Atiku, AFDB, PRP flag federal government's loan plan despite impressive IGR returns. News page 6, and that's where you find the story on the Guardian newspapers. Man decries over 18,000 job cuts, hostile environment. That's MAN, that's the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. And decries over 18,000 job cuts, hostile environment. You find the story on news page 3 of the Guardian newspapers. And also from the Guardian newspaper, Amnesty International says gunmen killed 10,217 persons in 7 states. News page 3 is where you will find these stories. Again, congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Okay.
Okay, away from the Guardian, we head straight to New Telegraph. New Telegraph with this headline, no intimidation will make me deny Wike. Aya was saying that. You can find that on page 4 of the New Telegraph. Say no vacancy for Uday Okoye, declares NEC meeting illegal. Still from New Telegraph, we have GOC emergency rule doused political tension in Rivers with riders, says pipeline protection mandate achieved. And we have this: thank Tinubu for his intervention for Baratel's Rivers people. And from New Telegraph, we have this: May 29, Agbakoba, Shogore, others lament state of Nigeria's democracy. With 2 riders there, but then it's not that clear. But you can find that story on page 3 of the New Telegraph. Away from that, we'll head straight to this. Foreign loans. Tinubu meets mortgaging Nigeria's future. Article is talking there. Well, a lot stories from the New Telegraph. You can grab a copy of that New Telegraph and read more.
All right, and I'll take this finally from Business Day newspaper, and the story there says inside Nigeria, multi-billion-dollar generator economy. That's the major story from Business Day there. You can find the story on page 30, and we have this story, trade and economic policies of President Bola Tinubu. Not so clear, but a lot is highlighted there, from trade facilitation and industrial support, fiscal reform and revenue modernization, economic governance and subsidy realignment, open governance and institutional transparency, Nigeria's first initiative, corporate social responsibility and national development support, expanding Nigeria's continental and global influence. Okay, NCS contributions to trade facilitation, and all right, Pat, you take that.
That's AFCTA alignment. We have launched of advanced ruling and authorized economic operator, and dedication of special terminal for clearance of export goods, and launch and roll out of Bodo Group platform, indigenous custom automation system. We have cargo clearance times improved. And the last one there is trade value rose to 196.94 trillion naira in 2024 from 70.5 trillion naira in 2023, amounting to 179% increase in trade value. So pick a copy of Business Day to read more. And that's all we have for you on the newspaper headlines this morning. Coming next is the analysis. Stay with us and do not go anywhere.
All right, welcome back. It's still Daybreak Live Extra from Dominion Television here in Ibadan. All right, we'll be joining Seun Oluwole, who will be an analyst for this morning. Is Seun Oluwole there? Hello?
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, good morning, Mr. Seun Oluwole. How are you doing today?
Fine, fine. And you?
I'm fine. My name is Abby Dickinson, and I have Pat in the studio with me this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Seun.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, we'll be doing the analysis. I want to just say this. They look at this on Nigerian Tribune. We have this story that says, outrage as students sit for WAEC exam at night. Body apologizes, and the writers say minister orders thorough investigation. I'm just thinking, we've just talked about JAMB and how it went with JAMB, the early morning rush, and all the, you know, all the reactions that followed it, with some children losing their lives and the rest of it. JAMB coming to apologize and saying there'll be a receipt. And now we are seeing this from WAEC again in just a few weeks. What's your take on this? Is it that the education sector is turning to something else, or the government is not doing enough in that area?
I think there should be a more proactive issue. Once again, I say good morning, but now let's really go in depth to this. I don't think our exams in Nigeria has ever been this bad. Coming from the angle of JAMB, now we are not talking about WAEC. Students now sitting late in the night, sitting down to rewrite an exam, which was, I don't know what actually happened, but some people were saying from whatever it is that I heard, there are some papers leaked, and they have to be, at least there should be a backup. The backup should have been ready. If you know there are going to be leakages, it should have taken that long for the students now to sit down late, deep into the night. A friend of mine was seated with me and had calls from his children that, Dad, we are still at the center. Around what time? 7 o'clock?
Wow.
Just imagine, that's never been heard of in the history of WAEC. We sitting down, students sitting down to sit down for exams late in the night. Now, whatever it is that has been the issue should be thoroughly looked at and should be highly investigated by the WAEC. Because I don't think, not in all centers this happened, but majorly it's happened here in Ibadan. I think it's happened here in Ibadan. And if it didn't happen in Abeokuta or in Lagos or somewhere else, then there must have been something wrong. Who are those people that are in charge of WAEC in each centers that happened, in the area, in the provinces that happened? All this should be looked into and investigated. Now, concerning our academic sector, our educational sector here in Nigeria, I think the government should get more proactive concerning this issue, where we have students taking their time and their parents spending money on their work and their children to have them educated, and at the end of the day, their academics are getting truncated. By who? It can't keep on going on like this. JAMB is a major front runner in our academics. WAEC now again, a major stakeholder. Come on, what is happening? I think the government can do much better. They should do much better. An inquiry should be set up to look at all these things. It can't keep happening like this. It can't keep happening.
It really
That's my take right there now.
All right, thank you. Pat?
All right, Mr. Sean, good morning.
Hello?
Mr. Sean, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear us?
Mr.
Are you
Sean,
there?
Can you hear us?
Hello, Mr. Sean.
Yes, I'm still with you.
All right, good morning once again.
I'm still with you.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning once again. Good
Okay,
morning.
please.
I'm still with you.
Okay. Moving on to New Telegraph, there's this big banner there. That's from politics now. No intimidation will make me deny Wike Ayawu. Says no vacancy for Ude Okoye. Declares NEC meeting illegal. What's your take on this?
I can't hear you. Please come again.
Okay.
New Telegraph here. There's a
Okay.
big banner. There's a big headline. Says no intimidation will make me deny Wike Ayawu. What's your take on this?
Who is intimidating who? I think, I don't know what it means to intimidate. What it means by intimidation. No intimidation will let him leave Wike or whatever. I don't think, well, he has his own point. He has a point where it's coming from, that some people in the party, maybe the PDP party, have started intimidating him concerning him siding or taking sides with Wike or whatever. But whatever it is, that is the issue of the party. That is the issue of the party. And from day one, we know that the issue, the party has an issue and internal cracks. So if that is not, it is not addressed by the party itself, by the party secretariat, okay, whatever it is that will happen, will happen. Of course, clearly we see the handwriting on the wall that the party is no longer at ease. It's no longer at ease. So he might have his own opinion about that, coming out to say that no intimidation can make him leave or do whatever. So if there are intimidations, then it has to go too deep. I mean, it has taken deep into the party arrangements and whatever it is they have within them. So they can easily sort it out, and it can be sorted out. But That is it. Everybody, you have their guts gutted. That's my take.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shehu. I'll take this from the Guardian newspaper quickly. Yesterday was May 29th, and there's been a lot of kudos here and there for the Bola Tinubu administration, 2 years, and people praising the government and the administration, the president himself, and saying he has done a lot in terms of improving issues or livelihood of Nigerians in the past 2 years. Now, Ohaneze Ndigbo and others are faulting Tinubu's scorecard as APC blames past leaders. What can you say about this?
Well, concerning the welfare of the common Nigerian citizen, that needs to get more attention. Whatever it is that be the policy that has been in place, it has not been fully felt by the common man in Nigeria. So when you are talking about President Tinubu's scorecard in the last 2 years, I think it's still pretty low concerning the welfare, the major welfare of the Nigerian citizen. It's still low. People are talking about welfare. But every other policy that the government can say that they are putting into place, it has come to caution the effect. All these things won't be, it is still marginal. It is still marginal. When it comes to being felt by the common man, it is still marginal. So the Eze Johannes now coming out that, okay, they still fought some policies and their scorecard is still low. The scorecard of the president is still low. Well, you can take it that is still low in some areas. Okay, we are still talking about education. We are still talking about the welfare, the economy. We are still talking about insecurity in Nigeria and other stuff. So the government can still do more. They can still do more to give us at least 101%, 101 or 150% of the scorecard. And we can say, okay, it has really improved. But when you are still having lapses in insecurity, in the commonwealth, the welfare of the common man, and some things that are still having lapses with, then the scorecard can still be at 50-50. Or it's still lower than that. Still lower than that because the common man, the basic man, the basic needs of every common man must be met. And since this is still hanging on the balance, I will go with Ohaneze too that it is still low. It is still low.
Okay, would you what would you say about them talking about the APC blaming past leaders? Do you think they are right to say the APC is blaming past leaders?
See, when it comes to administration, of course we know that issues have been wrong, but I think it is high time and past time we come out and start blaming. Now you know where things have gone wrong. Just go and tackle it headlong. Tackle it headlong and stop giving us the blame game. Stop playing the blame game. If they are still doing that, I think that some people still don't know their mettle. They still don't know what they are supposed to do in the party or with whichever department they hold or whichever policy they've been given to run. If you tell me to, it's just like you are asking me to blame my wife for not cooking. I know there's no, why can't I just put enough things on ground for her to cook? This thing is not working. It has never worked from the one that these leaders have gone. Now we are here to make things right. Do we still need to play the blame game? Of course, everybody knows where we are coming from now. But it is not now right for us not to say, okay, that's what it is. We are now pointing to that. No, it's wrong. It's wrong if we are still doing that. Everybody knows that one administration will still come out to say that the past administration is bad. We all know that.
All right, Mr. Shehu.
Please, just play along and just tackle all the issues head along and let's get on with it.
All right, Mr. Shehu, can you hear me?
Final.
Yes,
all right, before we let you go this morning, let's quickly look at this. JOC, emergency rolled down political tension in Rivers. But what caught my attention there is Fubara saying that thank Tinubu for his intervention. He's telling the Rivers State people. How do you see that statement?
Well, I've always said that every major player on the field of play that has happened with the state of emergency rule in Rivers State. Everybody knew what they played, the part they played. So for Fubara now to come out and say, I'm thanking President Tinubu for his intervention, and some people are still calling for the president's head that, no, this thing shouldn't have been there in the first place. So you shouldn't have done that. Now Fubara now coming out to tell us that, I thank President Tinubu for his intervention. Well, maybe we still need to look somewhere else and still try and listen to Fubara and hear him out. Whatever it is that has played out between him and the people of and Wike and the people of Rivers State. Now that President Tinubu has tried to intervene and and I think things will come out at the right time so that all the parties can shift their swords. Maybe I think that's a better way. It's a positive thing to say, and it's a positive way to go. If things are now becoming much clearer to us concerning Rivers State and the state of emergency rule, but rather to come out and say that thanks to President Tinubu, okay, there's more to it, and I think at the end of the day, everybody will smile home. At the end of the day, that's just what I think.
All right, thank you so much. That's the much we can take. Thank you, Mr. Shinwoluwale, for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
So much.
All right, have a nice day.
Okay, it's still Daybreak Live Extra. You know, Pat, I feel like saying extra, extra. You gotta party. You know that?
I know you like. She's a singer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Friday. It's a Friday mood. You know.
Thank God it's Friday.
Let's get it started from
Michael
Daybreak
is here.
Live.
Toby is here. So all of us are catching cruise in the studio. So it's extra.
Which
Friday
cruise?
extra.
I'm not catching cruise.
You're
say
singing
extra,
now.
extra.
It's still cruise now.
Let's start from here. All right, it's still Daybreak Live Extra from Dominion Television here in Ibadan. All right, we'll be taking a break now, and coming up next is a big story, and Samson will be doing that with you. All right, keep watching. Stay tuned. Don't forget to comment, like video like this on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We are there at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, you can find us there at Dominion Cast. All right, see you soon. It's still Daybreak Live Extra. Thank God it's Friday.
Good morning, Nigeria. You are tuned in to Daybreak Live, and this is The Big Story, where we unpack the pressing conversations that define our nation's heartbeat. Today, we set our sights on a subject that touches every citizen, every home, and every ballot: Nigeria's democracy, the journey so far. From military rule to civilian transition, from June 12 to February 2025, from promises to protest, democracy in Nigeria has been a winding road of hope, heartbreak, and hard-earned progress. But how far have we come? What lessons have we learned? And where do we go from here? Stay with us as we trace the footprints of democracy through Nigeria's past and present with expert voices, honest analysis, and your own perspective. When Nigeria returned to democratic rule in 1999, after decades under military control, there was a sense of renewed possibility. A nation brimming with talent, resilience, and hope was ready to take its place on the world stage, and as a republic governed by the will of the people. Over 2 decades later, that journey has been marked by defining moments: the power of the vote, the rise of political consciousness, the resilience of institutions, and the struggles for accountability and transparency. This story isn't just about presidents, parties, or parliament. It is about you. Yes, I mean you, the Nigerian citizen. It is about our collective memory and our national aspirations. Today we reflect, question, and project, not dwell in nostalgia or cynicism, but to ask, what kind of democracy are we building? And what kind of legacy will we leave behind? Thank you for joining us for today's edition of The Big Story on Daybreak Live. And this is Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Don't forget, you can be a part of the conversation by linking up with us on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that channel, drop your comments, and then keep the conversation glowing. You can also do well by linking up with us on all other social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. It is at Dominion Broadcast. And on X, formerly Twitter, it is at DominionCast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. All right, welcome to The Big Story. Today, I will not be doing this alone. I have with me a seasoned barrister at law. His name is Barrister Wale Ojoge, joining me live on this show this morning. Barrister Wale Ojoge, good morning to you. Good to have you on the show.
To be here with you.
Good morning, sir. All right, I want to ask you this question this morning.
My name is actually Barrister Ojoge Daniel.
Ojoge Daniel.
Ojoge Daniel is a compound name.
Ojoge Daniel. All right, thank you for joining us on the show this morning. All right, I want to ask you this question this morning. This is the Fourth Republic.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Barrister Ojoge Daniel, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. All right. We're talking about the history of democracy in Nigeria. And then we want to track it back as regards what democracy has brought to the Nigerian people. Now, let me ask you very briefly. In your experience, can you briefly walk us through Nigeria's democratic journey since 1999, sir?
Well, Nigeria has actually experimented with 4 republics now. And a retrospective appraisal of our journey so far shows that the constitutional trajectory from independence has been the same till date. And what is that trajectory? When you look at Section 14, subsection 2B of 1999 Constitution as amended, that is Chapter 2, it has been the same trajectory. What does it say? It says that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. That is, just like a person sitting for IEC now, the marking scheme is there. So to determine whether a government has performed, whether our democracy has actually been productive, all you need to do is to look at Chapter 2, Section 14, subsection 2B. It says the primary purpose of government shall be the welfare and security of the people. And looking at, the present situation in Nigeria now, can we say that democracy has been able to yield welfare for the people? Can we say democracy has been able to produce security for our people? The answer is not in the affirmative, but in the negative. The answer is capital no. And this has been largely undermined by the shenanigans of self-serving politicians. Now, despite experimenting with 4 republics, each ended in crisis or collapse. From the coups of the First and Second Republics, the abortion of the Third, to the current Fourth Republic, marked by elite manipulation, electoral malpractice, and public disenchantment. Ideally, what does democracy mean? It means government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But in Nigeria, from the first independence, from the Fourth Republic, it has been hijacked by power brokers. And as P.F. Kennedy warned, those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. You can see what is going on in Mali now. My fear is this. If we continue this way, can we say we are progressing or retrogressing? Because when you look at the purpose of government as enunciated in Chapter 2 of the Constitution of 1999 as amended, it's so clear. Those in power are supposed to be trustees of the commonwealth of the nation. The resources are actually for the people. But political, elite has hijacked the essence of democracy. Nigeria has become world headquarters of poverty as I speak, because the poverty in this nation is unprecedented. The hyperinflation in this country is unprecedented. Without the previous government, could have been described as monumental disaster. But if we are going to describe the present government, we can at best say this it's a government of genocide. Nigerians can hardly make ends meet. If you imagine what they call minimum wage in Nigeria today, it is best called starvation wage. Nigerian government is not interested in, the welfare of the citizens. In civilized crime, you don't talk about minimum wage. You talk about living wage. That is the remuneration that will go to a worker should be that will make it possible for him to live a meaningful life. But in Nigeria, they talk about minimum wage, which is synonymous with starvation wage. Come to think of it in the present Nigerian trajectory.
Okay.
How do you expect anybody to survive with even 70,000 naira if that is implemented at all?
All right, Barrister Ojuge Daniel, you are talking about the living wage, difference between the living wage and minimum wage, which we have in Nigeria. And yes, we're talking about other countries and what they have there. But then I want to pen that temporarily and ask you this question. In your view, what were the most critical turning points in Nigeria's democratic history? We have talked about what the government has failed to do over time, having practiced democracy in the Fourth Republic. But then, over time, in Nigeria's democratic history, what are the critical turning points that made this country to be in this position we are now?
Well, the previous government largely did not perform well. I have my reservation and my exception when it comes to governance in this country.
Since 1999?
I call the late sage, Chief Obatemi Awolowo, primus inter pares non secundum, first among his equals, second to none in terms of administrative acumen. But that's just an exception. Generally speaking, from the Fourth Republic till the present Republic, I mean, no difference has been made. But let me be very clear, categorical, and unequivocal. This present regime is a turning point because it's a radical departure from the past. The previous government attempted, to put into consideration the welfare of the people by not taking away subsidies. But this present government came into power, and the first thing was to take away subsidy, from petroleum subsidy, and immediately liberalize the downstream economy. They didn't just do that. Even electricity, the subsidy has been removed. In an impoverished nation, laissez-faire economy, what we call capitalism, cannot work. It can never work. It has never worked anywhere. Because when you talk about laissez-faire economy, it actually means leave them alone, leave the masses alone. Let everything be subjected, to the forces of demand and supply. That is pure capitalism. It has never worked anywhere. It should have been a blend of welfareism and capitalism, whereby there will be subsidies in place. All you need to do is, do the needful to ensure that, the subsidy is not hijacked by power brokers. In Nigeria today, the cankerworm has been corruption. But let me put it to you. Is government in support of corruption or not? If the government were not to be in support of corruption, the National Assembly should have taken a step to criminalize corruption as a capital offense, as is done in China. Those who steal at the expense of the state should be killed to serve as a deterrent, because there is a threefold theory behind the criminal justice system. We call it deterrence, reformative, and punitive. In a situation whereby there is a serious mischief, you make a law to combat that mischief. The very cankerworm in Nigeria today is corruption. Why is the National Assembly shying away from making a law that will make it a capital offense and wipe out the generation of crooks who have turned themselves into executive, judicial, and legislative ice cream sucking executive roles?
Barrister, is this why there are insinuations in town that what we have in Nigeria is a selective prosecution?
Yes, I'm with you.
You were talking about why it is difficult for the National Assembly to pass a law that makes stealing or corruption a capital offense in Nigeria.
Yes.
But then, is this why?
And punishment to be death.
Is this why there are insinuations in town that what we have in Nigeria is a selective prosecution? That the judicial arm of government only go after people when they feel like or when they are told to?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me answer that question. In an impoverished nation, the great philosopher Aristotle says, poverty is an invitation to crime. In a failed state like Nigeria, where the power brokers, the political elite, has hijacked the commonwealth of the nation, what happens is that you have a situation of survival of the fittest and elimination of the unfit. Then money becomes the king, and justice becomes one for the highest bidder. It was in Nigeria here that James Ibori was given clean slate by our judiciary. It was open that he did not commit any crime, he did not launder any money. That same James Ibori was convicted in UK. And he went to prison in UK. That is to agree with you that there is selective justice in Nigeria. Justice is for the rich, and injustice is for the poor. We have somebody who steal a goat and will go to prison, and one ice cream sucking executive rogue or legislative rogue or judicial rogue will do it with levity and impunity. But in Nigeria today now, tell me how many governors have gone to prison.
Barrister Ojoge Daniel. Barrister, let me ask you this. As an active player in the judicial arm of government in Nigeria, in this republic, have you seen any improvement in civil liberty and human rights since the return of democracy, 1999?
Are you talking about improvement in terms of fundamental human rights?
That's what I'm talking about. Have you seen any improvement in civil liberties in Nigeria since the return of democracy?
Are we talking about improvement when EFCC would detain people with levity and impunity and in excess of constitutional limits? When you look at Section 35 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it makes it clear, categorical and unequivocal that the maximum, the upper limit to the detention of a person in respect of a non-capital offense is 48 hours. Where there's a court within a radius of 40 kilometers, EFCC police cannot detain for more than 24 hours. But this they do with levity and impunity. Can we say that there's an improvement in our, human rights record? When the government is interested in the prosecution of a person, they go after that person, and that person will spend, years in the gaol without any judicial remedy. Can we say there is an improvement in the fundamental human rights record of Nigeria? The answer cannot be in the affirmative but in the negative.
All right. Many believe that Nigeria operates a democracy in form but not in substance. Would you agree with that?
I will not just agree with you. I am going to agree with you 100% that in Nigeria today, what we have is just democracy in form. In substance, what we have is autocracy. What we have is, when you look at the autocratic behavior of the recent regime, it's even worse than what is going on in Mali. A situation whereby somebody will sit down in Aso Rock and will be controlling events going on in Lagos State. A situation whereby the House of Assembly, the members are supposed to be representatives of the people, will impeach somebody and one person will say return him. Is that what you call democracy? Democracy, what we operate is from the Greek days, right? Democracy has been said to be government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It came to a time that people cannot come out and say, okay, we are representing ourselves. So they have to choose those who will represent them. So what we operate is called representative democracy.
Okay.
Where you have representatives of the people in the House of Assembly, and they cannot do anything.
All right.
They are subject to the whims and caprices of somebody. Is that what you call democracy? That is autocracy, my brother.
You have talked about people in power in Nigeria. Some democratically elected, some appointed. Now, how would you rate the electoral process in Nigeria since 1999?
Well, the
electoral process in Nigeria since 1999.
Well, if I'm going to rate, I'm not even going to rate the electoral process just from 1999. Let me rate it from 1979. From 1979, the Constitution clearly stated that for anybody to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he must have won a quota, that is 25% of votes, in each of 2/3 of Nigeria. In each, the word each means that you must get, a whole number. But via judicial abracadabra,
hello,
initiated by the then General Akinjide of blessed memory, Awolowo of having a runoff election, because under that circumstances there was also supposed to be a runoff election via electoral college, but it was denied. Now let's come back to the recent situation. Express is an out of orders. Do you get that? If you go and get me, a dog, you cannot bring a goat. But if I say go and bring a domestic animal, you can go and bring anything under that generic umbrella. You can bring, chicken, you can bring dog, you can bring goat. But you cannot bring lion, because a lion comes under the category of animal furry, wild animals. So express mention of one thing is an outright exclusion of others. Recently, what is the position of the law? That for anybody to become the president of Nigeria, he must have won 25% of the votes in the FCP. FCP, that is categorical. That is unequivocal. But what happened? What we have today is that, that position of the law has been messed up, has been made nonsense of.
Okay, very, very quickly, let's talk about INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, as a body. Let's talk about their roles and then what we have seen so far since the formulation of that particular body in Nigeria. Now, talking about reforms in the electoral sector, INEC in perspective, what are the reforms you foresee, things you think should work if put in place for INEC, for us to have credible election again in Nigeria?
Well, I think a time has actually come to digitalize our electoral system, to make it, because our electoral system is so vulnerable that votes don't really count in Nigeria. Votes do not really count.
Even with the advent of the BVAS?
Yes, of course. You could see how, a lot of...
And the electronic transmission of election results?
Yes. Now, my take is that there should be a law reform that will even criminalize the conduct of electoral officials, that will make it possible for people to take them to court and they be prosecuted. Because the electoral umpires have turned themselves into mini gods. And like I said the other time, Aristotle says poverty is an invitation to crime. Where you have survival of the fittest situation, it's all about grappling. So even the electoral umpires, they are members of this same failed state. Members of the judiciary are members of this same failed state, which made it possible for James Ibori to escape punishment in Nigeria and went to serve in UK. Sanity does not radiate from the Bennett, it radiates from the above. J.F. Kennedy says those who make peaceful changes impossible make violent changes inevitable. If we do not take steps, to realize that the interest of the people is, the constitutional trajectory for democracy. Section 14(2)(b) of Chapter 2 is so clear that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. The politicians are selfish. They get there, they want to become billionaires. They forget about the people they are representing. They should not wait until the assertion of J.F. Kennedy is now giving effect and efficacy. Just like you have a man. Because when you look at the events that led to the taking over of power in Mali, you will appreciate that it was inevitable, for that, disruption to come to bear. It was very inevitable. In Nigeria today now, politicians are self-serving. There's a need, for electoral reforms. That is, the electoral law reform. To make, certain offenses very, very punishable. Like vote buying.
Some people have made some calls that even Nigerian diaspora and in correctional centers in the country should be able to cast their votes. Do you support this too?
I do support it. That was what I meant by, digitalizing our electoral system, such that, even people in prison, can vote, because they still remain Nigerians. They are Nigerians. You have quite a large number of people who have not even been convicted. And Section 36 sub 5 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria says every accused person remains innocent until his guilt is proved. The law is equi affirmat, non equi negat, uncubi probatio. The burden is always on the alleger, and not until the alleger is able to discharge that burden. That alleged person, the accused person, is still innocent. So he should be able to exercise his franchise. So I quite agree with that school of thought.
Okay, let's talk about roles of Nigeria's democratic institutions. Talking about the judiciary, legislature, even media. Are they truly independent in Nigeria?
We're talking about the roles of the judiciary,
legislature, and the fourth estate, the media. Are they truly independent?
Let me start from the last. You could see that the Cybercrime Act is being used to even gag the press in a way. When you look at Section 24, that is supposed to be a kind of shield, is now being used as a sword. And when you talk about independence, there is freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to associate. The press is being gagged in a way. Now, talking about judiciary, how can we say the judiciary is independent in these circumstances when the appointment of the CJ, the chief judge, is subject to the whims and caprices of the executive? When even the funding, there is no consolidated fund to make the judiciary independent. He who pays the piper dictates the tune. How can we have independent judiciary? Yeah, you are talking about, independent legislature. The legislature is supposed to be independent, but where you have the actions still subject to interpretation by our courts, which to large extent are not independent, what do you have?
Now, the Senate and the House of Reps, they will argue with you that they are not puppets to the presidency, to the executive arm of government, even in states.
Can you make that clearer?
The Senate and the House of Representatives in Nigeria, the Federal House of Rep, they will argue with you that they are not puppets in the hands of the executive arm of government.
Yes, that is
there's a certain word they use. They will say we are not rubber stamp House of Reps, we are not rubber stamp Senate. Is that true?
That is in form, not in substance. You know, you can claim to be a Superman, but in reality, you may not be a Superman. So they claim they are not rubber stamp. But the unfolding events point to the fact that they are nothing but rubber stamp. And look at this situation too. Is Nigeria tilting toward a one-party state? Where you have, everybody, the governors, jumping ship, the camping to the ruling party. One question I want to ask is, what is their attraction? If the ruling party has failed using Section 42B of the Chapter 2 of the Constitution as yardstick, as the measuring rod, as the marking scheme, because that is the marking scheme to determine whether a government has performed or not. You have to look at whether that government has been able to provide welfare for the people and security for the people. If you are traveling from Oyo State to Abuja now, you have to continue to recite Oluwani Olusegun because you know that the kidnappers might be waiting for you there. Armed robbers might be waiting for you there.
Now, before we go, Barrister Ojuge Daniel, let's talk about solutions. As much as we want to talk about the problems Nigerians are facing, and Nigeria is facing as a country, let's talk about solutions. What step must Nigeria take to strengthen its democratic culture?
Well, thank you very much. I like Islam whereby we just don't diagnose, but we prescribe. My prescription is this. 1, demonetize politics. What do politicians do to deserve this much remuneration while Nigerians are suffering?
Make it less attractive.
Politics, that is demonetization of politics. Let the members of the House of Assembly, House of Rep, Senate, let them take allowances. Demonetize politics. Why should they make law that will give them lifetime pension just because they have been elected by the people? Demonetize politics. Allow independent candidacy. Allow people who are interested in serving this country to be able to contest on their own. That's what we call independent candidacy. 3, criminalize corruption as a capital offense so that it will serve as a deterrent. As a matter of fact, if I were to have my way to be the MSman, I would send executive bill to the National Assembly that corruption be made not just a capital offense, but that the punishment should be collective punishment. That is, whoever is found culpable of corruption, stealing public money. Because when you engage in corruption, do you know what you are doing? You are engaging in genocide. You are killing people because money that is meant to fund our health sector will have been diverted and patients will die. There won't be electricity. During surgery, that will go away and patients will lose their lives. This is genocide. And those who are found culpable of corruption should be killed along with their proxies, their family members, which I call collective capital punishment.
Barrister Ojuge Daniel, very quickly, in 30 seconds before I let you go this morning, what's your outlook of the future of democracy in Nigeria?
I can say without mincing words, in clear, categorical, and unequivocal terms, that if anybody is sitting down somewhere expecting something good to come out of this trajectory, based on the shenanigans of our politicians who are self-serving, they are there because of their own personal aggrandizement. Anybody thinking something good is coming out of this is building his castle in the air. That person is deceiving himself. Put me on record.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show this morning, Barrister.
It's my pleasure.
We do hope that next time we'll call you, you'll be here.
I'm always available.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. And that wraps up the big story on this morning's Daybreak Live. Daybreak Live Extra. Nigeria's democracy, the journey so far is more than a headline. It's a living, breathing experience we all share. Our democracy is young, imperfect, but undeniably ours. And its future, that's up to every one of us. Let the conversation continue. At your dinner tables, at your polling stations, in your communities, because democracy isn't just about elections. It's about participation, accountability, and belief in a better tomorrow for the people of Nigeria. I'm Samson Balogun, and that has been the big story on Daybreak Live Extra. Stay informed, stay engaged, and always stay hopeful. Up next is Daybreak Sport with Boluwaji Ogumola.
Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Sport on your number one choice of television, Dominion Television. I am Abe Paul Toluwanimi, and we'll be looking straight into action from the local scene, and that is the Gateway Game, the National Sport Festival, which was concluded yesterday, May the 29th. The 22nd National Sport Festival, known as the Gateway Game, concluded yesterday in Ogun State. This edition stood out for its technological advancement, infrastructure development, and emphasis on youth inclusion. And approximately 15,000 athletes from Nigeria 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory participated in the 30th sports edition. And the closing ceremony the closing ceremony happened yesterday right there in Ogun State, and we saw so much advancement, from the youth sport, also, to the technological aspect of the game right there in Ogun State. An amazing scene, from the pictures displayed on the screen. Moving away from that, we're looking at the log table from the Gateway Games, where Team Delta, picked up 122 gold, 85 silver, and 105 bronze in a tally of 322. Also, we have Bayelsa also with 90 gold, 61 silver, and 70 bronze with a tally of 221 in total. Also, we have Team Ogun also lead on third spot with 89, 44 silver, and 77 bronze right there in the Gateway Games 2024. You can see Team Oyo also sitting sixth on the log table with 36 gold, 36 silver, and 49 bronze with a tally of 121. Moving away from that, we have the story from Team Delta. Once again, took on the dominance of the National Sport Festival, clinching the overall title at the 22nd edition, dubbed the Gateway Games, held in Ogun State. The victory marks their 9th overall win, an impressive 5th consecutive triumph in the festival history. The final tally for Team Delta is gold 122, silver 95, and also bronze 105 with a tally of 322. Amazing one for Team Delta. Also, Team Bayelsa secured the second position with 90 gold, 61 silver, and 70 bronze. Since their first title in 2000, Team Delta has been a formidable force in Nigerian sports. So we are saying congratulations to Team Delta for clinching on those medal title right there in Gateway Games, the National Sport Festival. Moving away from that, we have the story from the Shooting Stars coach, that is Gbenga Ogumbote. The man said the head coach of the Premier Football League side, Shooting Stars, has shared his thoughts on the steps the club needs to take ahead of the upcoming season. Ogumbote, who is entering the final year of the 2 years contract, expressed his disappointment, with his side last season. But he's saying everyone knows I signed the 2-year contract and finally entering the last one. And he said we need to assess the entire campaign, identify what went wrong, and put things in place come next season. That's the update coming through from the head coach of the Shooting Stars team. Moving away from that, we got a story from Brown Ideye, who is finally saying his goodbye to Eyimba. Eyimba, the 2013 AFCON winner with the Super Eagles. Brown Ideye has penned an emotional farewell message to Eyimba FC. Ideye would join the People's Elephant during the 2024-2025 season as parted ways with the Abia Giants. In a farewell message, Ideye appreciated the management, players and fans of the club for giving him the opportunity to represent the club during the campaign. And he's saying to the chairman, staff and my teammate and fans of Eyimba FC, thank you for the wonderful journey. It's been an honor to wear the jersey and play for one of the biggest and best clubs in Nigeria and Africa. That's the update coming through from Brown Ideye saying it's final goodbye. Moving away from Brown Ideye's story, we are looking at the draw results for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, which is scheduled to take place in Chile from the 27th of September till the October 19, 2025. This tournament marks the 24th edition of the tournament, bringing together 24 national teams from 6 Confederation sport, and it will be hosted across various cities including Santiago, Valparaiso, Rancuna and Tauca right there in Chile. Also, let me let you know that these are the draw. Group A, we have Chile, we have New Zealand, we have Japan and we have Egypt. In Group B, we have Korea Republic, we have Ukraine, we have Paraguay and we have Panama. In Group C, we have Brazil, we have Mexico, we have Morocco and we have Spain. In Group D, we have Italy, we have Australia, we have Cuba and we have Argentina. And in Group E, we have USA, we have New Caledonia, we have France, and we have South Africa. And in Group F, that's where our own Flying Eagles are going to be slaughtered. We have Colombia, we have Saudi Arabia, we have Norway, and we have Nigeria. So we are rooting for our own country, Nigeria, to do well right there at the Under-20 FIFA World Cup. Moving away from that, we're heading straight down to basketball. An amazing one right there for the New York Knicks. You know, they have tied the game to game 5. Heading on to a 3-2. Indiana Pacers were supposed to win this game to seal up, their final spot to see how far they can go against the OKC Thunders. But the game ended 94-111, where Jalen Brunson picked up 32 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 3-pointers right there for Jalen Brunson. An amazing one to tie the game to game 6, going into the NBA playoffs right there. Moving away from that, these are the draws, the Western Conference and also the Eastern Conference, where the New York Knicks also and Indiana Pacers are tied right there in the Eastern Conference of the final. Also, let me let you know that OKC Thunders, knocked out Minnesota Timberwolves 4-1 in the Western Conference, and that's the update coming through. So right now, OKC Thunders are just waiting for the game between Indiana Pacers and New York Knicks to see who they're going to face right there in the final of the NBA. Moving away from the NBA story, we're heading straight down to Roland Garros right there in France, Paris. The third round at Tiafoe against Cardona. They're going to face each other in the third round. Moving away from that, we have Zverev and Kobeli also in the third round of the Roland Garros. Also, we have Paul and Kashanov also in the third round of the Roland Garros. Also, we have Fels and Rublev also in the Roland Garros of the third round. Also, let me let you know that Novak Djokovic also saw at Muset right there at 6-3, 6-2, 7-6 to see himself edge through into the third round of the Roland Garros. Also, Fonseca and Albert also saw 7-6, 7-6, 6-4 right there in the Roland Garros of the French Open. Opening right there. Also, moving away from that, we're heading straight down to the WTA, where Keys and also Butler saw a victory. Keys edge on top 6-1, 6-3 to see herself into the third round of the Roland Garros. Also, Coco Gauff also taking herself through to the next round of the Roland Garros after defeating Valentova 6-2, 6-4 to see herself straight into the next round of the Roland Garros. Moving away from that, we're heading straight down to Tosin Adarabioyo, being included in the team of the season right there in the Conference League. Right there, we have in goal Jurgensen in goal right there for the team of the season. That's the goalkeeper for Chelsea. Also, we have Gosens of Fiorentina also in goal. Sitting at the left back right there for the team of the season. He plays for Fiorentina right there in Serie A. Also, we have Nathan of Real Betis also, having to fill up the back spot right there for the team of the season. We have Tosin Adarabioyo also being included right there for the team of the season. And we have Sabali of Real Betis also right there sitting for the team of the season. Also, we have Enzo Fernandez also in the box right there, the midfield position for the team of the season. We have Isco of Real Betis also sitting in the park right there for the team of the season. And we have Sisla also sitting in the park of the midfield right there for the team of the season. The attacker position, we have Tomac also for Jurgen, and we have Pululu also sitting in the attack position right there for the team of the season. And also we have Cole Palmer also sitting in pole position, you know, after providing 2 assists right there. The Sporting Family, that's what I can take this beautiful morning on your darling TV station, Dominion Television. I am Abipo Toluwanimi. Over to you, Pat, Samson, and Ebi in the studio.
Welcome back from that short break. That was Daybreak Sports with Toluwani Paul Abe. And of course, we are straight to Trend Watch this morning. I still have with me the Queens in the studio. I have Pat, and of course, I have Ebi Dickinson in the studio with me this morning.
Good morning once again, Samson.
Good morning.
All right.
Of course, there are interesting stories on Trend Watch this morning, and then some of them actually interesting, and then there are a lot of reactions that will be like, well, there was one that was really funny. It says, I started taking picture attendance. They have taken coming to class seriously. Nigerian lecturer shares his strategy.
Yeah, that was a smart one.
A smart one. But then, you know, Nigerian students are actually smart. They will come only when they want to come, and they will give you excuses, you know now. So it's not about
maybe
the pictures.
Maybe the lecturer is handsome. So some people like, oh, I want to snap. I want to take a picture with my handsome.
Well, he only adopted that because he noticed that some of these students will not turn up for classes, and then when it's time for tests, there will be excuses, and then we'll be like, okay, so once you come to class, we'll take pictures together and we'll compile this. This will be your attendance. And when you want to argue that you were in class, okay, let's show you the picture we took on that.
And it has worked.
It has worked so far.
Taking class seriously.
Attendance has actually improved.
You have to try and be creative these days. Oh. This is a nice one. Oh.
They just talked about something
from a Unizik lecturer.
Yeah.
This is really nice. I applaud him.
And all of a sudden, attendance improved in class, and people were taking comment to class.
So no stories like that. Did you see the one about a lecturer who was lecturing to an empty class?
Yes, he did. He said, whether you like it or not, I will do my job, and nobody will blame me for not coming. At least it is evidence that I lectured, only that I lectured to an empty class. So it doesn't matter if anyone was there. I have done my own bit.
At least there will be some work on the...
Did you lecture or did you not lecture?
Yes,
of course, there are video evidences that I did. So he was also collecting evidences while doing the lecturing, collecting evidences like, okay, when the management says, lecturer did not come to class, we will come with videos.
I hope that's not a content.
Well, you see, sometimes you have to go beyond, you know, what you do normally to actually prove a point. You probably might have been going through that, fixing classes maybe for a particular time and students are not turning up. I'll be like, okay, so if you're not turning up, that will not be my fault. I'm going to present evidences. I'm going to tell the school board and the management that, look, I have done my own bit, only that your students, which you admitted, did not show up for class.
So you're actually saying we should go weird?
No, I will do that over and over again if I happen to be in a
just stand and talk. Yeah. Just imagine, it's like a rehearsal. You know when you're rehearsing and you talk to the mirror or you talk to yourself or you just imagine audience.
Okay, maybe we should just practice it. Sometimes should keep talking, then we should just...
No,
we'll just turn our face away.
We'll try next
week. We're not here, we'll put our head down.
We'll try that next week.
And that would be nice. You know, it's Daybreak Extra now.
Okay,
so we'll just do like
let's not put the extra now.
Go ahead.
All right, and then we have comments there. One said, if for Emmanuel says, thank God say I don't graduate.
Okay, another comment.
This new style, you get as it take be.
Okay, another one from Princess Star says, oh yeah, make we call Igwe, make he arrange award for you.
Okay.
He deserves an award actually for even when no one was watching, he did his job.
What is the award going for?
Award at least for doing your job even when no one. You know, in your CV.
You know when they
sometimes
give award,
your CV.
I'm saying, what's the category? You know when they give award,
I'm
they say
coming to
award
that.
for
I'm coming to that, please.
Okay.
You know, in your CV, sometimes you put some qualities, attributes, like ability to work under little or no supervision. So he did his job.
Pressure.
Whether he was being supervised or not, he made sure he carried out his duty. So award for doing his job with little or no supervision goes to the lecturer.
Award for lecturing to an empty class.
No, it will be award for being a weird lecturer.
Well, you can, sometimes you have to actually do weird things to get noticed and maybe get accolades for things you do that you deserve, accolades for. Yeah.
Okay.
And away from
don't worry, extra is coming. Something we'll talk, then we'll do what? We'll
actually,
turn
I'm
back.
traveling next week, so
Don't worry, we will look you. You will come to Zoom. Something is on Zoom. All right, I don't collect my Peking back.
Where you keep your Peking before?
Excitedly tells Cubana Chief Priest following his reunion with his daughter Imade. Why am I so excited about this?
I mean,
I am.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
It's a good thing.
I mean, I'm so happy because
one of the things you can't wish on a mother or a father is being separated from their children.
I'm telling you, and there was this strong bond
between this
Davido and Imade, his first fruit. Remember, that's his first fruit.
The whole scenario happened from people, according to information you gather on social media. Sometimes it might be so true, and sometimes you might be misled. But then at the point there were insinuations that Imade's mom was actually asking for too much. There were expectations which it was way out of what an average mom would have asked for. Even though the man is rich, doesn't mean it should be mixed. So all in all, at least that they are able to come back to the same table, arrange how the kid is going to share parental guidance among the two parents. I think
I just feel that no matter what happens, you shouldn't separate a child from
well, let's say we got some comments here.
Taking care of the child. Now it's not like one father that just it's not one father that just abandoned and then is coming back.
And he has flaunted Imade on social media countless times. And at the point, I think last week, he traveled all the way to Senegal to celebrate the birthday with Imade. So it means that he has been present, he has been up and doing, and he deserves this actually.
All right, we got some comments here, and this one is from Chinlorum Archive. I am so
don't bite your tongue. What's more?
The name was so long.
The name too long. I'm so happy for him. No one deserves to be emotionally blackmailed using unforeseen and accidental circumstances that found themselves in.
That was on point. That was on point. Nobody deserves to be blackmailed.
No.
Even if you have the darkest secrets against that person, I think you should still call that person some
hold
slack,
on to that. Okay, we have another comment again. This one says, you can tell EA has missed her so much.
Even me, I missed her on his behalf. Yes, so
you should see the video when the video was actually telling Cubana Chief Priest,
was there any point that the video has been mocked by Chief Priest? For him to just come to say, oh, I don't collect my video.
It's his party now, it's his friends.
They are friends.
Finally, it's like when you're happy, say, I don't see my Peking.
And then when you're happy about things that just happened to you, people you break the news to are the closest people to you. And Cubana Chief Priest has proven to be a very close friend recently. At least it's in the news. They went to see the vice president, he went to see the speaker of the House of Representatives, went to see, Godswill Akpabio, the Senate president, up until seeing the president. So they have been together in this journey, and I think their friendship has, really grown over time.
Especially.
All right, the last one here. We had JP 2025. Now, the grand finale took place in Tanzania. Named African Royal wedding.
Did you see the video where an overzealous bouncer wanted to bounce the queen mother?
The mother.
I mean, she was dancing and it was like, leave the stage. Another bouncer came to tell her, I think you are passing your boundary. So he stylishly left, the scene.
I saw it. I'm like, even Yabo self was like, hey,
was like,
where to where
don't you know me?
Can you imagine?
I'm the queen. My daughter is getting
Mother
married.
Of the bride, you want to pursue? Don't let Nigerians show you their color.
A mistake. Sorry.
Which kind of mistake?
It was actually a mistake, but then for such a mistake to be on
that woman was just like somebody of 25 years that you just feel like, oh, you want to show yourself.
It was actually a huge shame that such mistake of a bouncer, an overzealous bouncer, was actually caught on tape. I think,
or maybe he's under the influence of alcohol.
No, while on duty.
What he does, he isn't even permitted to actually, have a drink while doing what he does. So you can do whatever you like after the job, but while on it, you are not permitted.
You can't. And then, I mean, the husband,
it happened, well, then the wedding is done and dusted now.
At least we can rest.
Done and dusted, and there's a big, brand new Range Rover Jeep being given to.
She deserves it, because you cannot have such an expensive wedding and not have an expensive gift after that.
And that's just one of the gifts.
One of the gifts.
The one they allowed us to see.
One of the gifts.
Gifts go yakpana.
All right, we have to go, honestly.
Time.
Fast spent on the show. But of course, we must say a very big thank you to everyone that has stayed glued to their phones, to their TV set, and then watched Daybreak Live on Dominion Television today. Don't forget, you can keep the conversation going on our social media platforms. Go to YouTube channel, subscribe to that channel, and of course, drop your comments there. And on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, it is at Dominion Broadcast. Also, same for LinkedIn. And on X, formerly Twitter, it is at Dominion Cast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. We say very thank you for being a part of the show so far today. Today is Friday. Go out there, enjoy yourself. Even with just 5,000, you can just have, have fun.
Say good spender.
Yeah.
He's a
no matter how little, just make sure that out of the savings you are saving, money you are saving actually, pick some. Enjoy yourself, because you might not know, anything can happen.
Well, I will tell you that enjoy your weekend and be watchful.
Watchful of what? Wait, are we watching it? What are we watching?
Just to be careful.
Just
don't over-enjoy.
Be careful and vigilant.
All
be security conscious. That's what I mean.
Thank you so much. It's been Daybreak Live, and it's the extra, like I said before. Extra.
No, it's like this. It's like this. Some will say extra. You will say extra, and I will say extra.
Okay.
Are we singing now?
Okay,
extra.
All right, thank you so much. I will say wonderful thank you to the entire Daybreak Live crew. Well done. My name is Abby Dickinson. Have a wonderful Friday, and God bless Nigeria.
Someone told me that at the last count, there are about 53 radio stations within the broadcast landscape alone. And I said, yes, why not? We are here to make a difference. I said something yesterday, I was told when I was very young, that Ninu Obi, Latin Yoifi. Which means that in the committee of matters, the platinum stands top. It's top-notch. You cannot compare the platinum to gold, to silver, to brass, or to anything. So Dominion is here to dominate in practical terms.